Hello everybody, and thank you for coming back to the channel and to this new chapter of building and converting to RC the Hurricane from Guillows. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start with the fuselage, which is it's a nice build. There's some big pieces and then I'm going to have to put in the formers. One thing also that I didn't comment in the other one is that because I'm putting in the movable areas on the elevator and on the rudder, I'm probably, or for sure, I'm going to need to do some kind of modifications. As you might be able to see, if I put it like this, then it's not really going to be able to move. So I'm going to see how I'm going to do it. If I probably maybe cut something out of the vertical fin, or I'll see. But it's also going to be needed in the fuselage. It's got a very nice piece here that it's, I don't know what it's called, but it's kind of like a keel, like I said, bottom and top keels, and I'm probably also going to need to modify it. But as I'm not sure exactly where all this is going to go, I'll probably do that modification at the end once it's built, which will be a bit more clumsy, but it's the only way I think that I can do it like that. So let's go for it, setting up the pieces, and in the meantime I'm going to listen to something. I just found that there's a new installment of, what do we have here, the Messerschmitt BF108 restoration, the Kermit Weeks channel. If you haven't seen that, they build planes like we do, but the big ones, the real thing. So it's going to be interesting to listen to this nice new update on it. So follow me. So some observations. It's glued and now setting. I haven't done the forward part of the fuselage ahead of the cockpit because I seem to recall that it wasn't so easy on the Spitfire. Maybe I should go back and watch my own videos and see what I was doing there. I was also, I don't know if you noticed, but I was testing the gap that is on each former, this one. I was testing it if the side former, the side stringer, which is this A4, you can't see it because it's upside down, if it fits, because I remember on the Spitfire I had to file down or make these wider. These seem to fit. Maybe it was different stock wood that was used before, maybe a bit thicker, and it didn't fit. These seem to fit okay. Now with the forward part of the fuselage, now I'm wondering how to do things, right? Because this is this ESC, I think it came out of the Spitfire, it somehow failed there. Actually a servo failed, I think the ESC itself still works. And I've got to find where I'm going to put it, right? So that's why I haven't put in yet these formers, because I'm thinking at what point I would put it, right? So that, and also then the battery that would go in. I want it as far forward as possible. On the other hand, it has to be somehow in a place that it's where it fits, which is going to be the challenge here. If I look at it, let's see if I measure it. I'm going to go metric, so for those imperial of you, then you might not like it. Let's see, where's my little ruler? Yeah, too many toys. So this is less, so it's 19 millimeters, so it's together it will be 30, less than 40, so 38, something like that, millimeters, which is, it doesn't give much space, but it is wide enough for this, right? So it'll leave maybe 3 or 4 millimeters at each side. So what I'm thinking, and this also needs to going upside down, because that's the position that it has in the P51. So it has to go in upside down. One servo will control the elevator, the other one the rudder. And I'm thinking that this might squeeze in somehow at this height, with this position. I don't want to break it. It's freshly glued, and even if it weren't, I wouldn't want to break it. So I've got to see how I would maybe and I don't want to break the antenna because I might someday use this. So I'm thinking if I put it in here, this is like, it would be completely in the cockpit. I would need to make holes then for the push rods, but it seems to fit in the cockpit, and actually looking in through the cockpit you might see in the little red lights. So that might actually fit almost exactly as it needs to. Maybe some space for this capacitor here. And then the battery, I will probably have to squeeze it like on the Spitfire. I don't have it here. I should, because it's broken, but I don't have the Spitfire here. But I think the battery I was putting it in from the top, and that hatch that I made was not too successful, so I might need to make another design of the hatch, maybe a bigger one. So I'm thinking maybe to put it here, and this is somehow at the almost right height, maybe even higher it has to go, so that it links to the fuselage, to the rear surfaces, right? So to the moving surfaces. So I'm thinking maybe this, it's okay to put in already B3 and maybe even B2 and B1. Maybe not B1, because I seem to recall I also regretted putting in B1 before I was doing something else. So I might put in B3 and B2 still in, and I leave B1, which is the first one, it's kind of the firewall, out, and then here the nose will come for the where the motor will go, and I need to measure that out when I have the cowling and things like that. So ESC seems to fit. So B3 and B2. I'll do that now, and then I'll let it set, and then I'll see what I do. Maybe I put in one of the side stringers. But first I want to let it set for sure, and it needs to set before I do that. So let's see how it goes. Discovering. I've got the fuselage pretty much done, and the glue has set. I've put also the side spar, and I mustn't forget, now that I'm looking at it, to trace out that shape on the paper, so when I do the rubber powered version at some point in the future, that I have that, because that's the only piece that I don't think is on the plan. At least it was like that on the Spitfire. So as I take it out, I'll tell you what I'm thinking, because I've been thinking about the position of the ESC. Before I was telling you I would put it in the cockpit, but as I think, and that probably would be the easiest, but on the other hand that would also shift the center of gravity further to the back, because the center of gravity, if I put it like this so you see it upright, the center of gravity is probably somewhere here. I got it on the plan around, but probably somewhere here, which is kind of the position of the let's say the thickest part of the wing is going to be somewhere here. So if I put the ESC here, where it would fit nicely, it's going to be behind that center of gravity. So if I would put it here, it would be ahead of that center of gravity, which would be nice. Now the next challenge will be, so how would I put the battery in? And that I don't know, because the battery would then have to go ahead of this, which is okay, because the plug-in cable would be in the front, but then I have to find a way of putting it in. With the Spitfire I was putting it somehow like this, and it's really very clumsy, like I can't always get it in, and I'm always afraid of breaking something. So I'm thinking maybe in this case to make the latch, maybe cut this spar off and make a, let's say, a latch that would go in like this, and then try to squeeze it in this way up. But then I have to see if it's going to fit in vertically, which might not be, if I put it like this, might not be so easy because it's too big, right? So I'm not sure exactly how to do it. Maybe putting it in here, would it fit? If I squeeze this in, I really don't know. I have to still think some more. Another thing I also have to bear in mind is that somewhere, probably also in the same area, I need to put in the servo to control the ailerons. So I've got to figure it out, and there's either I put the ESC in the cockpit, my initial plan, and then make space for the servo here. The servo would actually be in the wing, so I think it would be okay. And then the battery somehow here, make a hatch and put the battery in here. If I move this further, the battery is heavier also than the ESC, so if I have to choose what goes ahead of the center of gravity, it will be the battery. But then in here it won't really fit. You see, it doesn't fit in there, and in vertically it doesn't seem to fit either, unless I really cut it very, very tight, which then would make it very weak. So So I'm not sure, and now I'm thinking again, I'm rethinking what I want to do. Maybe putting it in the cockpit was not such a bad idea, but then I'm going to need also a lot of weight in the front to balance it out. So I'm going to have to do some thinking and some figuring out on this, and when I have something thought up and maybe some progress done, then I'll get back to you. Might take a while on this one. Let's see how it goes. So this is really quite fiddly, I'm going to say. It's really very small and very tight fit. I've actually broken one of the formers, which at this point in the build I'm not too worried about, because I do believe I can glue it together, and in the worst case scenario I could actually take out another one. Here's the drawing, so I could make another one from scratch. And I've also cracked the one that I have in place. Now the good thing of having a broken ESC, and I don't like having broken ESCs evidently, as one can imagine, is that I'm not worried about playing around with it quite a lot, because I have been actually moving it around a lot to see if I can fit it in. And as I say, this is quite fiddly. I need to cut out the shape specifically, then I've got to try to fit this one in. I need another hand, so I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. But it's still quite a lot of work to make it fit, and that it actually closes up also here on the top. It keeps the shape, and that the ESC doesn't protrude on the side, because that wouldn't be good actually. So still some work to do. I need to make a bit of a hole, I don't know if you can see it, here for the condenser, and then what I believe I'm going to have to do is to already fit in the ESC. I won't plug it in, or maybe I'm just thinking, maybe I'll just try it out. I'll plug it in and see if it binds to the new Radio Master to make sure it works before I go through the whole effort of actually gluing it in and putting in some reinforcements. But there's still some work to do there. So I'll finish it here, because it's still going to be a fiddly process. And then on the next chapter, hopefully I'll show you a working installed ESC, and then it'll be about putting in the other side of the fuselage, which is the formers, and working that along also. So I leave it there, and then I'll see you the next time. Thank you very much for watching.